Hi, Fatima. Great job finishing your essays for the course. Really good work. It's nice to see you working so hard. So let's take a look at what you've done for your last two essays here. The bar chart above should be, bar chart above displays the number of trips made by two waste trucks during July, August, and September of 2014. Perfect, fine. Just make this bar chart instead. Over the period, the truck that made the largest amount of trips was hauler B. Now, since trips are something that are countable, I think a better word here is number. Amount is something we use for something that you can't really count, like an amount of money, an amount of time. So I think a better word here would be number. August was the month in which the biggest, again, number of trips took place. Wonderful. The data showed almost 150 trips for hauler B and nearly 120 for hauler A. The sentence itself is great. My only concern here is right here with the punctuation. You could have done a couple of different things here. You could have written a semicolon, which, of course, is the dot and then the comma underneath. You could have written a colon, which is a dot and a dot underneath. Or you could have had some sort of linker here, like since or as, and they would have been absolutely appropriate and made this sentence perfect. Okay, so moving on. On the contrary, September witnessed the least number of trips. Hauler A, and now here you did it. So that's really well done. Hauler A recorded only 85 trips, and hauler B's apostrophe S numbers were a bit higher at 100. Okay, this is great. I really like this and really well done with the semicolon. It's not something that we see a lot, but it's absolutely accurate. So excellent job there. My only comment would be about this word, this expression here, on the contrary. On the contrary is something that IELTS candidates love, but they frequently use it incorrectly. So here it's not entirely appropriate. You should have used instead in contrast. Okay, so in contrast was the expression you wanted instead. All right, so turning to July's data, the graph shows 190 trips for hauler A and B respectively. Let's see. Okay, well, yeah, about that. It looks actually a little less than 90, but okay, maybe around 85, but fine. You know what you could do here to make sure that you're not inaccurate is that you could say approximately. So the graph shows approximately 190 trips for hauler A and hauler B respectively. These results are practically identical to the ones in September, except that hauler B recorded more trips in September than hauler A. So the sentence is great, but the syntax is off. Okay? So what you really could have said here to make this absolutely like band 9 level was you could have said these results are practically identical to the ones in September, except in reverse. That is, hauler B showed 100 while hauler A showed a little above 80. And that would have made it absolutely perfect. Overall, there was no clear trend due to the fluctuations month, not on month, but month to month is the expression. But really good try there, really good effort. August experienced an increase in the number of trips for both trucks. And then in September, hauler A's apostrophe S, hauler A's number of trips dropped in the same way hauler B's, again apostrophe S, did. Okay, that is not 100% clear here. They didn't really drop in exactly the same way. I mean, yeah, they dropped, but it's not really 100% clear here. but the first part of the sentence is absolutely accurate. It's very well done. Also, another thing in terms of grammar is that you probably heard me say holler A's, which is not something we usually do. In other words, when it's an inanimate object, we usually see the number of trips of holler A, because holler A is not a person, it's not a living thing. So typically that's what we say rather than putting the apostrophe S here. But I didn't want to change the syntax of your sentence too much, which is why I did it. So basically, Fatima, you've got some great elements here, really good structure, good analysis of the trends, a couple little problems with your grammar, and again, this wasn't entirely clear, but great work overall. So let's move on now to your 10th essay, your task 2. Nowadays, most green energy is becoming ever more prevalent in both developed and developing countries. Some argue they greatly reduce costs, and are better for the environment. Others believe they are a serious threat to energy security. It's a discuss both views and give your opinion. So let's see. The use of renewable sources of energy is becoming widespread all around the world. Lovely. Its popularity is due to the environmental benefits and reduction of costs. Yet, problems such as reliability and security of it are still a challenge to overcome. Beautiful. Really nice. This essay will discuss both points of view and agrees that despite the advantages green energy has, its development is basic in order to fully rely on them. While grammatically, syntactically, I love this sentence. I think it's wonderful. There's something here that is keeping it from being 100% clear. And that thing is that for you to be using despite here, you thought that there was some sort of contrast. In other words, that there are advantages to green energy, but it needs to be developed. It's not clear the way you wrote this part of the sentence. So let's see if we can find an alternative way to phrase this so that this contrast here is clear. So it agrees that despite the advantages green energy has, in order to fully rely on it, it must be developed further. So something like that, I think, really would have emphasized this contrast that, yeah, it's great, but, it's not enough right now, and we really need to develop it more. So maybe you could have changed it like that just to make it a little more clear, because the contrast here really isn't clear. Okay, so examples from a Greenpeace, I think it's one word, Greenpeace. A Greenpeace study in solar energy will be used to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay, lovely. So moving right along. Firstly, green energy is an undoubtedly powerful source of energy, mainly because of its little harm for the environment and its future predictions in the reduction of costs. This is a fragment, so you didn't need to make it its own sentence. You could have combined these into one sentence, okay? And again, also it's not little harm. So it is a powerful source of energy mainly because of the little harm to the environment. And this isn't really totally clear what you mean here. It's future predictions in the reduction of costs. The predicted reduction in future costs, maybe that would make more sense in terms of syntax. Okay? But there's some nice words here. I like undoubtedly powerful source of energy. Very nice. All right, so to continue, even if governments control the amount of emissions to the atmosphere, renewable energies will be still less pollutive, than non-renewable ones. Okay, take as an example the last study you carry out a study by Greenpeace, one word, that claimed, no comma, that claimed that in the next 50 years, the poles will melt, not passive voice, if the emissions of CO2 continue at the same rate. if they continue at the same rate as nowadays, or at the same rate as they do nowadays. You're missing a little word here. So therefore, green energies are great sources that look after our planet. Okay, so I really love the way you wrapped it up. Great use of the paragraph structure you learned about in the course. Let's move on to your next paragraph. Secondly, renewable energies are often unreliable sources. Okay, so grammatically this is excellent. However, it's not really secondly, because you're actually talking now about the other point of view. So it's not firstly and secondly, but instead it should be on the other hand, conversely, in contrast, however, despite what has been said. So something that shows that, yeah, I've talked about how great green energy is, but now we're going to talk about the fact that it's not really 100% secure, or as it said here, that it's a serious threat to energy security. So let's see what you wrote, though, apart from this. This is largely because humans cannot control the amount of energy produced per day. Perfect. These energies mostly depend on natural factors. For example, solar energy is well known for its long times to storage and how quick it is stored. I'm not really sure what you mean here. The long time it takes to store? Yeah, but it's not entirely clear. So as a consequence, countries such as Denmark, Norway, or even England with little amounts, plural, of sunlight are unlikely to rely on it. Okay, again, because I didn't really understand this sentence here, this wasn't totally clear to me. So you're going to need to work on this, this sentence that starts with, for instance. Okay, so to conclude, although the use of non-renewable energies is unavoidable, further development and investment on green energies should be taken into account to avoid serious environmental problems in the future. I really like this part of the sentence. I don't know exactly why you've said the use of non-renewable energies is unavoidable. Because of this, because of what you said here in solar energy. Okay, all right, I see the connection. So it was a really nice job, some really great work. You know that now you can sign up to an additional essay correction package. It's really important to continue to get feedback on your writing before your exam so that you can continue to improve. You know, you've got the structure down, you've got lots of vocabulary, lots of great elements in your writing, but do take advantage of this opportunity because, you know, professional advice and feedback is really at this point the best way to improve before your exam. So great work with this. We hope to see more of your essays and best of luck.